Get over here and hold my purse. Vanessa Sinclair snapped her fingers in the middle of the marble staircase while cameras flashed around her. The ballroom entrance of the Grand Crescent Hotel glowed with gold lights, designer gowns, and million-dollar smiles. Influencers crowded the red carpet. Reporters shouted questions. Wealthy guests laughed loudly as servers carried trays of champagne across the lobby. And standing 3 steps behind Vanessa was Maria. Her plain black uniform looked painfully out of place among the diamonds and silk surrounding her. A few guests turned. Then the whispering started. Wait, did she actually bring her maid? No way. Vanessa smiled wider when she heard them. Oh, don't mind her, she said loudly enough for everyone nearby to hear. I thought it would be fun to give my housekeeper a taste of high society tonight. Laughter exploded around the staircase. One influencer even lifted her phone. This is insane, she whispered while recording. Maria lowered her eyes and quietly took Vanessa's purse. But what nobody noticed was the way the hotel manager suddenly froze when he saw her face. And before this night ended, every single person laughing at Maria would wish they hadn't. Vanessa Sinclair loved attention more than anything. The 46-year-old real estate billionaire had spent years building the perfect image online. Expensive vacations, designer clothes, luxury penthouses, private jets. To the public, she was powerful. To the people who worked for her, she was unbearable. Move faster. Why are you standing there? Do I pay you to think? That was how Vanessa spoke to her staff every day. And somehow, Maria had survived 12 years working inside that mansion. Nobody understood how. The cooks complained constantly. The chauffeurs quit every few months. Even Vanessa's assistants rarely lasted longer than a year. But Maria stayed. Quiet, calm, never arguing, never raising her voice, which almost made Vanessa hate her even more. 3 nights earlier, Vanessa had walked into the kitchen while Maria was preparing tea. You're coming with me to the gala on Friday, Vanessa announced. Maria looked up slowly. The charity gala? Yes. Maria seemed confused. I don't think I belong there. Vanessa laughed. That's exactly why I want you there. The other staff members exchanged nervous looks. Vanessa leaned against the counter. Imagine their faces when they see my maid standing beside all the city's elites. Nobody laughed, but Vanessa didn't care. Then she added the part that made the room go silent. And wear your uniform. Let's not confuse people. One of the younger maids nearly dropped a plate. Maria simply nodded once. If that's what you want. Vanessa smirked. Oh, trust me. It is. The moment she left the kitchen, the younger maid rushed toward Maria. You can't actually go, she whispered. She's trying to humiliate you. Maria continued stirring the tea calmly. Maybe. Then why agree? Maria looked toward the dark kitchen window. Because sometimes people reveal who they truly are when they think you're beneath them. The younger maid frowned. What does that mean? But Maria only smiled softly. That night, after everyone went asleep, Maria returned to her tiny apartment across town. The building was old. The hallway lights flickered. Rain tapped softly against the windows. Maria sat at a small wooden table and removed a silver necklace from beneath her uniform. Attached to it was an old ring. She stared at it quietly. Then her phone rang. She looked at the screen for a long moment before answering. Yes. A man's voice spoke immediately. Mrs. DeLauron, are you sure about tomorrow night? Maria closed her eyes. I'm sure. They still don't know who you are. No. The man hesitated. After all these years, maybe it's better to keep it that way. Maria's voice became softer. I kept quiet because I wanted peace. Not because I was ashamed. Silence. Then the man sighed. If you change your mind, I can cancel everything. No, Maria replied. It's time. She hung up and looked toward an old framed photograph sitting near the window. In the picture, a younger Maria stood beside a smiling man in front of a luxury hotel. The exact same hotel hosting Vanessa's gala. The next evening, the Sinclair mansion exploded with chaos. Makeup artists rushed through hallways. Designers carried dresses upstairs. Hairstylists argued with assistants. Vanessa loved every second of it. This gala will be all over the news tomorrow, she said proudly while examining herself in the mirror. Her assistant nodded nervously. The mayor confirmed attendance. Good. And several investors are coming too. Vanessa smiled. Perfect. Then she noticed Maria standing quietly near the doorway, still wearing the black uniform. Vanessa burst out laughing. Oh my God, you actually did it. Maria remained calm. You told me to. Vanessa grabbed her phone. Stand closer. I need a picture. Maria didn't move. Vanessa's smile faded slightly. I said stand closer. Maria slowly obeyed. Vanessa lifted the camera and snapped a selfie. Caption idea, she said mockingly. Taking the help out for her first luxury experience. Her assistant forced a weak laugh. Maria said nothing. That silence irritated Vanessa more than insults ever could. During the limousine ride to the gala, Vanessa continued drinking champagne while scrolling through comments on her photo. She's already going viral, Vanessa laughed. Thousands of people had reacted within minutes. Some comments were laughing. Some were criticizing her. Vanessa ignored those. She looks terrified, Vanessa said while zooming into Maria's face. Maria stared quietly out the tinted window. The city lights reflected across her eyes. Vanessa rolled hers. You know, Maria, this might actually help you. Maria looked over. Ow! Vanessa smirked. Maybe after tonight, you'll finally understand how important people live. Maria's expression didn't change. Important people? Vanessa laughed. Yes, successful people. Maria looked back toward the window, then quietly said, My husband used to say success means nothing if kindness disappears along the way. Vanessa scoffed. Well, your husband clearly wasn't a billionaire. For the first time, something shifted in Maria's eyes. Pain, brief but real. Vanessa didn't notice. The limousine finally pulled toward the glowing entrance of the Grand Crescent Hotel. Cameras immediately flashed. Security opened the door. Vanessa stepped out first with a dramatic smile. Then Maria followed, and the entire atmosphere changed. Guests whispered openly now. A blonde woman near the carpet laughed into her champagne glass. She really brought her maid. Another man shook his head. Vanessa always needs attention. But before Maria could step forward, a young security guard blocked her path. Staff entrance is around the back. Several guests chuckled. Vanessa pretended to think. Oh no, she's with me. The guard looked embarrassed. I'm sorry, ma'am. I thought. Yes, we all know what you thought. Vanessa interrupted loudly. More laughter. Maria simply nodded politely to the guard. It's all right. Inside the ballroom, the humiliation only got worse. Guests handed Maria empty glasses. A wealthy woman pointed toward a spill and snapped. Can someone tell the maid to clean this? Another guest asked if she was part of the catering staff. Every single time, Vanessa laughed. Every single time. And still, Maria never reacted. That calmness slowly started making people uncomfortable, especially the hotel manager, because from the moment Maria entered the ballroom, he couldn't stop staring at her. Finally, unable to ignore it anymore, he approached carefully. Excuse me. Maria turned. The manager's face lost color. Oh my God. The man immediately straightened his suit. His hands were visibly shaking. Mrs. de Laurent, he whispered. Maria gave him a small warning look. Not now. The manager instantly understood. I apologize for disturbing you, he said quickly before walking away. Vanessa narrowed her eyes. That was strange. Maria calmly picked up a champagne glass from a passing tray. Maybe he confused me with someone else. Vanessa laughed. Yes, because billionaires and hotel managers spend all day recognizing maids. But deep down, something about that interaction bothered her. Before she could think more about it, a famous influencer named Chloe Bennett rushed over excitedly. Oh my God, Vanessa! The two women air-kissed dramatically. Chloe then noticed Maria. Her eyebrows lifted instantly. No way. Is this the maid from your post? Vanessa grinned proudly. The one and only. Chloe circled Maria slowly while holding her phone camera up. This is actually iconic. Maria lowered her eyes. Please don't record me. Chloe laughed. She talks. Vanessa nearly spilled her drink laughing. You should have seen the comments online, Chloe continued. People are obsessed with this. Maria's voice remained gentle. I don't think humiliation should entertain people. The laughter around them faded slightly. Vanessa's smile stiffened. Oh, relax, Maria. Nobody's humiliating you. Chloe smirked. She's sensitive. Maria quietly responded. No, just observant. For a brief second, silence settled between them. Vanessa immediately changed the subject. Come on, Chloe. Let's greet the mayor. The women walked away, leaving Maria standing alone near the ballroom wall. That was when a young waitress approached carefully. She looked nervous. I'm sorry about them, she whispered. Maria smiled softly. You have nothing to apologize for. The waitress hesitated. I saw the video online earlier. People can be cruel. Maria nodded slightly. Yes, especially when they think nobody will challenge them. The waitress frowned. You don't seem angry. Maria looked around the ballroom. I learned a long time ago that anger reveals pain, but silence reveals character. The waitress stared at her. There was something unusual about the woman standing before her. Not the uniform, not the age, the presence, the calmness, the confidence. It didn't feel like a maid. Before the waitress could speak again, loud applause suddenly erupted near the stage. Vanessa had climbed onto the small platform beside the orchestra, microphone in hand, wine glass in the other. Oh no, the waitress whispered. Maria looked toward the stage. Vanessa loved public attention, which meant danger. Good evening, everyone. Vanessa shouted. The crowd cheered. Vanessa smiled dramatically. I just want to say what an honor it is to attend such an important event with so many successful people in one room. More applause. Then Vanessa's eyes locked onto Maria. And speaking of success, several guests already started laughing because they knew exactly where this was going. Vanessa pointed directly toward Maria. I decided to bring my housekeeper tonight. Laughter exploded again. Maria remained still. She's worked for me for 12 years, Vanessa continued. And tonight, I thought maybe she deserved a chance to see how elegant people actually live. Some guests clapped awkwardly. Others laughed harder. Chloe recorded everything. Maria slowly lowered her eyes. The waitress beside her whispered, "This is horrible." Vanessa took another sip of wine. You know what's funny? She continued. Maria barely talks at home. I honestly wasn't even sure she knew how to socialize. The crowd laughed again. Vanessa fed off it. You should all see her cleaning my mansion at 6 in the morning. Sometimes I forget she's even there. That line hit differently. Several people shifted uncomfortably. Even Chloe's smile faded slightly. But Vanessa kept going. Maria, she suddenly shouted. Every eye turned. Come up here. The waitress grabbed Maria's arm softly. You don't have to do this. Maria gently removed her hand. Yes, she said quietly. I do. She walked slowly toward the stage. Hundreds of eyes followed her. Whispers spread everywhere. Vanessa smirked while handing her the microphone. Tell everyone what it feels like spending your life serving successful people. A few drunken guests laughed loudly. Maria stared at the microphone for several seconds. The room waited, and she finally spoke. My life. Her calm voice immediately quieted the ballroom. Has taught me that wealth often reveals who people truly are. Vanessa rolled her eyes. Oh boy, here comes the life lesson. Some guests laughed nervously, but Maria continued. I've met people with very little money who treated others with dignity. Her eyes slowly moved across the room. And I've met people with unimaginable wealth who treated human beings like objects. The ballroom became silent. Vanessa's smile faded. Maria handed the microphone back. But before she could step away, another voice echoed through the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, the event host hurried onto the stage looking pale. There's been a small change to tonight's program. Vanessa frowned. The host swallowed hard. Before we continue, we would like to recognize the anonymous donor responsible for saving St. Catherine's Children Foundation this year. Huge applause erupted. Vanessa smiled instantly. She assumed they were talking about her. She straightened proudly. But then the host turned toward Maria, and everything changed. Mrs. Maria de Loran, he said carefully, would you please remain on stage? The applause slowly died. Confused whispers filled the ballroom. Vanessa blinked. What? The host continued nervously. For over 15 years, Mrs. de Loran has secretly funded hospitals, scholarships, shelters, and charities across this city. The room froze. Vanessa stared at Maria like she had stopped understanding English. The host's voice shook. And tonight, we are honored to finally thank the woman whose donations saved this foundation from closing forever. Complete silence. Maria stood motionless beneath the lights. Vanessa laughed awkwardly. Okay, very funny. What is this? Nobody answered her. The hotel manager stepped forward. His face was filled with respect. She owns this hotel. The words hit the ballroom like an explosion. Several guests gasped. Chloe nearly dropped her phone. Vanessa's entire face drained of color. That's impossible, she whispered. But the manager continued. Mrs. DeLorean inherited the Grand Crescent Group over 20 years ago. More shocked murmurs spread. The entire hotel chain belongs to her family. Vanessa slowly turned toward Maria. No. Maria finally looked directly at her. And for the first time all night, Vanessa looked small. Very small. Chloe lowered her phone completely. You're serious? She whispered. The host nodded. Mrs. DeLorean requested privacy after the death of her husband and son many years ago. Since then, she has lived quietly while continuing her philanthropic work anonymously. Nobody in the ballroom moved. Nobody even breathed loudly, because every person there suddenly realized the same horrifying truth. They had spent the entire night humiliating the most respected woman in the room. And Vanessa Sinclair had done it publicly. On camera, in front of everyone. Vanessa stepped closer shakily. Maria. But Maria's expression never changed. Not anger, not revenge, just sadness. And somehow, that hurt Vanessa even more. Vanessa's breathing became uneven. The ballroom suddenly felt too hot, too quiet, too small. No, she whispered again. There has to be some mistake. Nobody came to rescue her this time. Not Chloe, not the investors, not the laughing guests who had spent the last hour mocking Maria beside her. They all stood frozen, watching, judging, realizing. Vanessa looked desperately toward Maria. You're really the owner? Maria answered softly. Yes. One word. That was all it took to destroy Vanessa's confidence. The billionaire who controlled boardrooms and terrified employees suddenly looked like a frightened child standing beneath the ballroom lights. Chloe slowly lowered her phone completely. Oh my God, she whispered. Vanessa turned sharply toward the host. Why didn't anyone tell me? The host looked stunned. Mrs. DeLorean values privacy. Very few people know what she looks like. The hotel manager stepped forward respectfully. She specifically requested to live anonymously after the tragedy involving her family. The room remained silent. Maria gently folded her hands together. I never wanted attention. Vanessa laughed nervously. Well, obviously this is all one big misunderstanding. But even she could hear the desperation in her voice. Nobody believed her anymore. Not after the videos. Not after the speeches. Not after the humiliation. Vanessa suddenly grabbed Maria's arm lightly. Maria, if I said something offensive tonight. Maria slowly looked down at Vanessa's hand. Vanessa immediately let go. That tiny movement somehow felt more humiliating than being slapped. The crowd noticed it too, and whispers started spreading through the ballroom again. Only now, the whispers weren't about Maria. They treated her horribly. Did you hear what Vanessa said earlier? She called her invisible. Oh, this is going online tonight. Chloe's face turned pale, because she suddenly remembered something terrifying. She had live-streamed part of the humiliation to millions of followers. Vanessa heard the whispers growing louder. Panic slowly crept across her face. Everyone calm down, she snapped. This is being blown completely out of proportion. Maria looked at her quietly. Is it? Vanessa opened her mouth, then closed it, because for the first time all night, she had no control over the room. The event host carefully stepped aside. Mrs. DeLorean, he said respectfully, would you like to say a few words? The ballroom immediately became silent again. Every eye fixed on Maria. Vanessa swallowed hard. Maria slowly stepped toward the microphone. And somehow, despite wearing a simple Maid uniform, she suddenly looked more powerful than anyone in the room. I lost my husband and my son 22 years ago, Maria began softly. The ballroom became still. After their deaths, money stopped meaning very much to me. Even Chloe lowered her eyes. Maria continued calmly. I spent years surrounded by powerful people, wealthy people, influential people. Her gaze slowly moved across the guests. And I learned something important. Nobody moved. Nobody reveals their true character faster than someone who thinks another person is beneath them. The words landed heavily across the room. Several guests looked ashamed immediately. One older man quietly walked away from the stage area altogether. Maria's voice never rose, but somehow it became impossible to ignore. I worked ordinary jobs because I wanted peace, simplicity, humanity. She paused briefly, and tonight, I received a reminder of how cruel people can become when kindness disappears. Vanessa's eyes filled with panic. Maria. But Maria gently continued speaking. I was laughed at. Silence. I was mocked. More silence. I was treated like I mattered less because of clothing, because of status, because people assumed I had nothing. Several guests lowered their heads completely now. Even a mayor looked uncomfortable. Then Maria said the sentence that shattered Vanessa completely. The saddest part is not the cruelty. Her eyes met Vanessa's directly. It's how proud some people become while doing it. Vanessa looked like she couldn't breathe. The ballroom remained frozen. Then suddenly, someone started clapping. A single clap, then another, then another. Within seconds, the entire ballroom erupted into applause. Loud, overwhelming, emotional. Not for Vanessa, for Maria. Several guests even stood. The young waitress near the back wiped tears from her eyes. Chloe slowly turned her phone camera away from the stage, because for the first time in years, she felt ashamed of what she had recorded. Vanessa stood completely alone beside the microphone. No applause reached her. Not one clap. Maria gently stepped away from the podium, but Vanessa immediately rushed after her. Wait. Maria stopped walking. Vanessa lowered her voice desperately. I didn't know who you were. Maria turned slowly. And if you did? Vanessa froze. That question hit harder than anything else that night, because deep down, they both knew the truth. Vanessa hadn't humiliated Maria because she believed she was poor. She humiliated her because she believed she was powerless. Maria's eyes softened slightly. You were kind to wealthy people, she said quietly, but cruel to people you thought couldn't benefit you. Vanessa's voice cracked. I can explain. No, Maria replied gently. You already explained yourself very clearly tonight. That hurt more than shouting ever could. Vanessa looked around desperately. Nobody came to support her. The investors avoided eye contact. The mayor quietly walked away. Even Chloe stepped backward. Vanessa suddenly realized something terrifying. Her reputation was collapsing in real time, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. One of the investors leaned toward another and whispered, We can't be associated with this. Vanessa heard it. Her face drained again. Wait. But they were already leaving. One by one, people began distancing themselves from her. The same people who had laughed beside her earlier. Now suddenly silent. Suddenly uncomfortable. Suddenly afraid. Because cruelty looks entertaining. Until consequences arrive. Vanessa turned back toward Maria one final time. I'm sorry. Maria studied her quietly. For a moment, it looked like she might respond. But instead, she simply said, Being respected by powerful people means very little. Vanessa's eyes watered. Maria continued softly. The real test is how you treat people who can do nothing for you. Then she walked away, and nobody tried stopping her. The ballroom parted almost instantly as Maria crossed the floor. Not because people feared her wealth, but because they finally saw her worth. The young waitress hurried toward the exit after her. Mrs. de Laurent. Maria stopped near the hotel doors. The waitress looked emotional. I just wanted to say thank you. Maria smiled gently. For what? The waitress swallowed. For reminding everyone that dignity matters. Maria reached in her pocket slowly, then placed the silver necklace into the young woman's hand. The waitress looked shocked. I can't take this. Yes, you can. It looks expensive. Maria smiled sadly. It reminds me that good people still exist. The waitress's eyes filled with tears. "I'll treasure it forever." Maria nodded kindly. Then she stepped outside into the cold night air. The city lights stretched endlessly across the streets. Behind her, inside the ballroom, Vanessa remained frozen beside the stage. Alone, completely alone. Chloe slowly approached her. "This is bad," she whispered. Vanessa looked sick. "How bad?" Chloe hesitated. "The live stream already has millions of views." Vanessa closed her eyes. And the comments. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. Vanessa already knew. The internet loved humiliation. But tonight, she was no longer the one humiliating someone else. She was the humiliation. 3 days later, multiple investors publicly cut ties with Vanessa Sinclair. 2 charity boards removed her membership. Employees from her company began leaking stories online about years of abuse and mistreatment. The videos from the gala spread everywhere. News channels replayed the clips repeatedly, especially the moment Vanessa said, "Sometimes I forget she's even there." That sentence became impossible to escape, and each time people watched it, Vanessa's empire cracked a little more. But Maria never gave interviews, never held press conferences, never attacked Vanessa publicly. Instead, she quietly returned to her ordinary life, which somehow made people respect her even more. One evening, the young waitress visited Maria's apartment carrying flowers. "I hope I'm not disturbing you." Maria smiled warmly. "Not at all." The waitress looked around the tiny apartment in confusion. "You could live anywhere in the world." Maria poured tea calmly. "Yes." "Then why stay here?" Maria looked toward the rain falling softly outside the window. "Because peace is worth more than luxury." The waitress smiled slowly. Then she asked the question millions of people online still wondered about. "Why did you keep working as a maid?" Maria stared quietly at the steam rising from her tea. Then she finally answered, "Because when people believe you have nothing, they show you everything." Silence filled the apartment. Powerful silence. The waitress looked emotional again. Maria smiled softly. "Never let money decide someone's value." Then she added one final sentence. The sentence that would stay with the waitress forever. "And never confuse status with character." If you enjoyed this story, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below. What do you think was Vanessa's biggest mistake? And remember, the way people treat those beneath them often reveals who they truly are when nobody is watching.